something that I think the Malik Willis conversation hinted at earlier today. And I think it's really interesting where people fall with Malik Willis. He was Cleveland was one of two potential landing spots for him from ESPN, kind of their off-season primer projections, however you want to say it, along with the Miami Dolphins. It is interesting to see that not everybody is in gung-ho, let's tear down and rebuild the quarterback room like we were the same time last year. Well, at the same point, the same people don't seem necessarily tied on the quarterbacks we have. It's kind of bleep it, let's see what happens.
It's going to be really interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. I don't know where the majority of the fan base is right now. Feels like half the people want to do something that makes it where Shedeur isn't the starter, and the other half is like, well, let's have Shedeur maybe compete for this spot and see where we go from here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think I'm obviously certain Deshaun's going to be here because the cap nerds tell me it's March of 2027.
Yep.
And I trust our cap nerd overlords. I'm certain that one of the rookies from this last year will be here. I think it's more likely that Shedeur's going to be here. Beyond that, like, as of today, would it surprise me if they took Ty Simpson with a 6th pick? No. Would it surprise me if they double-dipped a Kirk Cousins and a Ty Simpson or something like that? Or a Malik Willis and a Ty Simpson? No. Like, I guess the beauty and the agony of this from a quarterback perspective is you can be as aggressive or as unaggressive if you want to be with the Browns, and you can kind of defend doing anything.
Well, and what's interesting about that is, like, what kind of urgency does Andrew Berry play with?
Yeah.
You know, and also, who's making these decisions? We keep going back to the idea that if it's Grant Udinski, then he'll have a say in what happens with the quarterback spot. Most of the time, the head coach has a pretty big say in it, but if you're Grant Udinski, maybe you don't have a big say in it.
Grant, you're just lucky to be here. Sit in the corner and we'll tell you who the quarterback is.
You get the Stefanski year one treatment, and really what turned out to be many years with Stefanski, where you just kind of hang out and they tell you who the players are, and that's it.
When he suggests something you don't like, do you make him wear a dunce cap? Is that how we
sit in the corner?
You're
30 years old, Grant. Sit in the corner and just wait.
Sit in the corner and watch me football.
That's right. You're going to learn a thing or two, Grant. Kind of like that one time you shadowed KOC in Minnesota that got you this job.
This kind of feels like we're turning it into the cuck chair in the corner here.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, he's 30. He's not 12. I don't know what we did here.
Yeah, watch me do my thing. You're going to love this. You're going to learn a thing or two.
Andrew Berry is just his parent. That's all it is. He just turns into his parent.
I don't care if she's your mother. I love her too. All this being said, I think the Browns are going to be really aggressive at making the team better. I don't yet know how aggressive they can be with the quarterback spot because how much Deshaun's getting paid is going to give a lot of people he's making $45 million. He should at least be in there. I think there are people
that also that part of it limits what you can do as well. Yes. You're going to spend $70 million on a quarterback room?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Like one of the advantages.
Well, if you're going to spend it on somewhere, you would spend it on the quarterback. In fairness, just as a quick devil's advocate.
Well, no, for sure. But like even really good teams have a hard time winning when you have to all of a sudden pay the quarterback $55+ million. Nonetheless, like $70 million. But when you're paying $55 million, all the teams across the NFL right now. Josh Allen just struggled this year. All things considered, why? Because they couldn't afford to bring in other people because they're spending $55 million a year on him.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I probably care more about like how much draft collateral you're spending on the quarterback position this year than I do the financial side of things, even though the financial thing's complicated because of Deshaun there. But like, it's funny. Like, I think the best you might be able to do when we get into like the ceiling of the best player you can acquire that fits the financial and draft collateral is a compromise, and that's Mac Jones.
Which will still cost you some of that draft collateral.
And kind of is something we've talked about. That's my 1A. Like, when I say 1A, what I mean is, all right, he's still going to be competing with Shedeur, and he's going to be competing with whoever else is in that quarterback room. Just trading for him doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go ahead and put that guy as a starter no matter what.
Well, and what makes that hard is that if it's a third-round pick, you have to trade for him. I think a lot of people then would be like, okay, or even a second-round pick, then it's like, all right, well, you paid this, and then you're going to let Shedeur be the starter instead? That's instantly going to be the thought for a lot of Browns fans.
Yeah, and in the end, if it's success, who gives a rip? But I think, it's interesting. Like, 216-474-0092. I do want to throw this out there. Are the Browns guaranteed to make a change to the quarterback room? Because I don't think they're guaranteed to do anything there. I would be shocked if that offensive line, they didn't throw significant resources in the draft and certainly in free agency and trade. I think wide receiver. One of the other names linked to the Browns in that ESPN piece, why we're talking about this, is A.J. Brown. Mm-hmm. It's a kind of move that, depending on the draft collateral to get A.J. Brown, I think he's about 28 years old. He's still got some good football to him, and he would be the kind of receiver I don't think you've had since Braylon, and he's even more physical and more talented than I think Braylon Edwards was. So, like, he's a big wide receiver that can move his ass. You know what I mean? Like, so I expect them to be – I do think there are a lot of people who are just looking at this team and going, they don't have an offense, bleep this whole thing. I think by the time we get an offensive head coach, and I do think that's going to be what happens here, by the time you get that and you see the pieces filled in alongside the O-line and wide receiver, I think people are going to be singing a different tune before we even get to the draft.
But if they run it back, I don't look at it this way, but I do wonder how many Browns fans, if they run it back with Shedeur and then the Deshaun and they have some sort of quarterback camp battle, is it just, in people's eyes, do they look at it like we're just punting on the following season? I don't look at it that way because I think you can still do some things with Shedeur, and I think having that battle would still matter. But I think there's people out there that think if you enter next year with the quarterback setup that we've described so far, where you don't go out there and do a Malik Willis or a Mac Jones, that basically you're just waiting for the 2027 draft.
I mean, I would see that. I listen, and I also think there's one other way to tip the hand. If, like Joe DeLeon said in the 3 o'clock hour, if the Browns trade out of 6 and move into the mid-teens, that will be a dead giveaway that they're putting the eggs into the basket. They're basically doing again what they did this last year with the number 2 pick.
Getting as many picks as they possibly can, stockpiling.
But especially if the mandate to get from 6 out of there is a first-round pick for 2027, well, yeah, all of a sudden it does make a heck of a lot more sense that then you were putting all the eggs into that basket. The difference is, like, Kenny Pickett was he's either going to do it or he's not. Joe Flacco was a fail-safe. You kind of knew, or at least you thought you knew what you were going to get with Joe Flacco. Shedeur and Dillon, there was no frame of reference because they were rookies and mid-round picks, what they could do or where they were at in their development. Mm-hmm. That was a Hail Mary in 7 different directions. Because Dillon and Shedeur have already played, and you have some tape on them, and they will be going into their second year where this offseason is huge for their development. And Deshaun is a knowable, somewhat commodity, even if it's an injured one. Like that, there's more, I think, to this quarterback room than there was to last year's, which
sure in my eyes.
And I'm still still not convinced that it's going to work out, but I feel better about this situation going into the offseason than I did where it was like going to be a brand new room last year and we didn't know who was going to be in it.
I do too. The problem is that I feel like most of the people we're talking to right now don't feel that way.
Well, I think that makes sense in where we are. Are you talking about fans or are you talking about media members?
I guess both.
So for fans, here we go again. It's the Cleveland Browns saying, here's where I'm at. I'm apathetic. They're going to be bad next season, probably for the next few years. I have seen cynicism from the day they fired Stefanski today grow in leaps and bounds in a way I don't understand. But I understand if you've gone, well, they won 3 games 2 years ago, 5 games this year. Maybe we get a 6-win season next year, 7. I understand it. The media thing is interesting. I mean, I think you can broadcast this and kind of, look forward and go, all right, there's one potentially really good quarterback prospect. He's going 1. You can't get him. There's no real obvious, this is a guy you go get. There's no,
right. At this
previous
point,
years,
yes.
Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, some of the names have kind of come free before. And so I think that's fair. I would also say, like,
although Aaron Rodgers might come free, we don't know yet.
That would be wild. Him coming to Cleveland. I suggested it last year, and you gave me the
I don't like the idea.
Crap.
I don't like the idea, but like Mike McCarthy is a serious contender now for the Steelers job based off the idea that Aaron Rodgers just wants to be wherever Mike McCarthy is. Wouldn't that apply if Mike McCarthy then all of a sudden didn't get the Steelers job and was like, all right, I'll interview with the Browns?
I'm not entertaining it.